Hi, this is Terry Powell. Today I'll be filming the famous Rock Hawk Effigy and Trails here at Lake Oconee. The entrance to the Rock Hawk Effigy and Trails trailhead in the campground. Rock Eagle in Eatonton, Georgia is not too far away. I'll shoot another video one day of that area where I used to go to 4-H camp when I was younger. Archery range here at the Rock Hawk Effigy Trails. And the big attraction is this Rock Hawk Effigy. We'll take a look at it. There's a tower you can climb and see it from different levels. These maps show how it evolved over time. University of Georgia has been doing some studies and work on this area. This shows it is not known who built the Rock Hawk or the Rock Eagle effigies. Rock Eagle is located not too far away in Eatonton, Georgia. This is Rock Hawk where we're standing here. See what it looked like in the 1950s. An aerial photo from 2004. Kind of a comparison study. Like the property was acquired by Robert White in 1805. Eagle Rock is the other one at Rock Eagle. Alice Walker wrote about it in a book back in 1971. She also wrote The Color Purple in 1982. More history of the Rock Eagle effigy, which again is the one that located in Eatonton, a few miles from this Rock Hawk one that we're standing at. You can see how it changed in 1937 and 1954 when they excavated. Here we're at a mural. The first placard says Native Americans are depicted building the Rock Hawk effigy about 2,000 years ago. Somebody's painted a mural. As you go across, it shows the pioneers. And then the Gone with the Wind era. Union troops, the Civil War. You can see the agriculture and the dairy cows. More modern times, the plains. It's kind of a timeline history. The structure here is the restroom facilities behind the tower that you can climb. But they also have all kind of information signs about the archaeology and the birds, arrowheads, artifacts. Again, more history of the Rock Hawk and Rock Eagle effigies. Even some information about a Presley mound. You know, a lot more information on the Civil War history. Sherman's March, the escape of Jefferson Davis, various churches in the Oconee Valley, Civil War action in Middle Georgia. Joel Chandler Harris's Uncle Remus, the Turnmore Plantation, Brer Rabbit, Uncle Remus Museum. All kind of stuff on ancient evolutionary animals that have gone extinct. Here's some granite outcrops at Rock Hawk. From the top of this tower I've climbed, you can see in the fenced area you can get a good view of the whole Rock Hawk Effigy mound, stones in the shape of a hawk. As I go back down this tower, I'll show it from different levels. Here you can see the trails and the wooded areas behind the effigy mound. View from another level. Lower level view. Kind of see there's all kind of trails, miles of trails you can walk. The ground level view with a fence to protect it and preserve the ancient history. Georgia Power on the Oconee River. The Parks Mill House. Richard Parks built this home prior to 1820. The Cut-Right Mill, one of the turbines, was brought online circa 1845. Wallace Dam construction was 1979. And the Furman Shoals Sinclair Dam, 1930, originally begun in 1929. The Rock Hawk Effigy and Trails, 15 miles of nature, 12,000 years of history. This historic Piedmont Scenic Byway is located between Eatonton and Sparta, Georgia, Hancock County and Putnam County. This shows some of the geography and geology of the area. There's a flat rock outcrop where the Rock Hawk area is located. And the Oconee River, 1975, at Lawrence Shoals. See the Wallace Dam. There's a lot of prehistoric life in the Oconee Valley. In the Creek Nation, the Indians were in this area too. Had corn ceremonies. And this dates back to the 1700s, 1734, even the 1600s, the Creek Nation. The Fusky Trail, there was the Treaty of Fort Jackson in the early 1800s, around 1814. The outbreak of the Creek War. A lot of venomous snakes on this Rock Hawk trails. Look out for the eastern diamondback rattlesnake and the cottonmouth water moccasin are two of the. There's also copperheads and timber rattlers and the eastern coral snake. DeSoto explored this area in central Georgia. This is back in the 1500s. See, there was settlement in Georgia before the Revolution. The French in 1764, setting up colonies in Oglethorpe with the Creek Indians, 1733. Some more animals of the Rock Hawk trails: armadillos, skunks, raccoons, white-tailed deer, possums, cottontail rabbits. Revolutionary War from 1775 to 1783. This area's got a lot of history. Sherman made the famous March to the Sea. This is from 1864 to 1876 during Reconstruction. A lot of history with voting rights and Sherman taking Milledgeville. General William Sherman. This map shows the Union forces in Putnam County, Georgia. Life in the New South from the 1870s to the 1980s included the Eatonton Railroad, sharecroppers' cabins, taking cotton to the market. The Oconee Valley has a rich literary history. Famous authors like Flannery O'Connor, Alice Walker, and Joel Chandler Harris. Joel Chandler Harris had a character called Brer Rabbit. Alice Walker, if I'm not mistaken, wrote The Color Purple. And Flannery O'Connor spent most of her short life in Milledgeville, Georgia. She wrote A Good Man Is Hard to Find. Here's some more modern activities. The Wallace Dam in Lake Oconee in 1980. A lot of people do water sports, other outdoor activities. You can see they have the Rock Hawk pollinator habitat. Bird houses. Cotton culture and economic development from 1800 to 1860. Nearby there's a grist mill at Shoulderbone Creek. I filmed it separately before. There was a General locomotive, Georgia's most famous locomotive, back in 1855. Here's an early Central of Georgia Railroad map. And of course there was a cotton gin in 1793. This area is also famous for slavery. Unfortunately, the whites were called crackers. Here's an example of a slave cabin. They had religious camp meetings. And here's an example of a yeoman farmhouse. This placard here depicts the slave society. Here's a former slave. There were slave sales in Georgia. Here's a marker of a grave. And an ex-slave cabin, what it looked like in the interior. The Little family home site's also in this area. I've been through the trails and filmed this before too. Here's the remains of a family home site. The Little Holder family home. This is back in 1812, throughout the 1930s. Original property owners in the Rock Hawk area. Little's Ferry across the Oconee River in the Rock Hawk area. The Little family cemeteries. Again, I've been through the woods and filmed this before, taking pictures. Little Siston Family Cemetery. The Arson Family Cemetery. Child's Grave in Putnam County. The Putnam County Slave Cemetery. Well, this was in the 1800s. The Civil War from 1861 to 1865 and the role women played in smuggling goods and on the home front. Joseph E. Brown was a famous figure back then. Of course, the Georgia secession from the Union. I'll read the placards. This mural again, this was when they were building the Rock Hawk Effigy about 2,000 years ago. And here the pioneers are shown doing chores near their log cabin in the early 1800s. The efforts of early settlers led to the prosperous antebellum period, which followed. Land grants of 202.5 acres began with the Land Lottery Act of 1803 and attracted many farm families to Putnam and other Georgia counties. Terminal Plantation, where Joel Chandler Harris lived for 4 years, is now a tourist attraction and is where Harris began developing his creative and critical writing skills. During his time at Terminal Plantation, Harris listened to animal stories told by slaves, and he later based his famous Uncle Remus stories on the African American tales that he heard there. Union troops burned cotton fields and factories in 1864 during the Civil War. The couple was watching the end of the antebellum period. Putnam County and the South were changed forever. However, some prosperity returned when the dairy farm period began after 1876. Other signs of progress followed. Putnam County's dairy farm period began when New York native Benjamin Hunt's moved to the area in 1876 after his marriage to Louise Pruden of Eatonton. Hunt became the father of Georgia's scenic dairy industry. In Putnam, Hunt also founded a bank, built a textile mill, led the effort for a rail line to Atlanta, and spearheaded the construction of the Carnegie Library. The historic AME Church on Ward's Chapel Road was the church Alice Walker and her family attended. Church members and services are referenced in Walker's poems. The church is a tourist attraction today. For several years during the renovation, murals were painted over the boarded windows by art school students of Putnam County High School. Hiram Little, from 1919 to 2017, a World War II Tuskegee Airman and Medal of Honor winner, is shown saluting a World War II fighter plane. Little, representing Putnam County's veterans throughout history, was a cousin of the author, prize winner, Pulitzer Prize, and National Book Award winner Alice Walker, known for The Color Purple and many other works. Lake Oconee, impounded when Wallace Dam was built in the late 1970s by Georgia Power, led to an economic boom for the area and is known for providing recreational opportunities, including fishing, boating, swimming, for beautiful vistas and homes. This is where you park to see the Rock Hawk Effigy.